Hey everyone, this is your host Brian, and welcome to episode 7. Today's topic: Walt Disney, the films, the theme parks, the legacy, and the insatiable. I can't do it. I can't do it. Why did we try that? Why did we? Okay, the films, the theme parks, the legacy, and his insatiable desire to kill every cute little cartoon character's parents. Find out about all that and more on this week's episode of the Pause Button Podcast. That was stupid.
Yeah.
You doing okay over there, Pat?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I have a nice ice cold Dr. Pepper to get me by. Not sponsored. Please sponsor me though.
Please. You? Not us? You?
No, I don't want to share.
Speaking of sponsorships, I'm feeling pretty bad after last night in general. I'm having the day after like beer shits like crazy. Before we actually started recording, I literally had to shit in Pat's bathroom twice, so probably might have to stop the episode to do it once. But I will say I bought this at Walgreens before, since we're going to do advertisements.
What's this?
It's called Poopery.
Oh yeah.
If your insides are just rotting, if they're just terrible after a night of drinking or eating terrible food, and you know your shit's going to smell like mine has many times in the past, no specific mentions of pooping in a friend's house and being able to smell it all the way in the basement, buy Poopery. You just spray it on the water and do your business. And then it should stop the smell, hopefully.
Savante, have you accepted any offers?
Not as of yet. I'll check back in with you next episode.
Okay. We'll find out about all
So,
that. What?
you were speaking of last night and drinking. You guys wanted to tell a story?
Oh yeah. Okay. So there were 6 of us in total? 6
Yeah.
of us? Yeah. It was me and Joey, and then Tom, and then a couple other people, and we went to 3 breweries. There was Goose Island. The other one was Off Color, and then we went to what was the third one?
We went to Half Acre?
Half Acre, yeah. So, as you can imagine, a group of young 20-something-year-old men going on a trip to some breweries. Got you have a couple of drinks as you get through the night, and then no one wanted to drive because we took an Uber. We were going back to my house, which is about 45 minutes away from there. So we pile into the Uber, and I adorably fall asleep on Joey's shoulder.
It was so cute. And
About
he kept
3
denying
times.
it. He kept like leaning over and falling to the left or like right on my shoulder, and I was like cool with it. But every time he would jerk back up, like right when he touched my shoulder, he'd be like, sorry. And then he'd do it again. Like he did it like 5 more times.
Was it 5?
It was a lot. You
I
kept
was
going
really
back and
tired.
forth, and then
That's so cute.
you actually stayed there for a little bit one time, and I was like, okay, finally, like let's just like do it, like
Well, then why wasn't your arm around me? Why didn't you put your arm around me?
Well, it didn't have to be like that.
Well,
But
maybe I want. Oh, anyway, so we get in front of my house, and one of our buddies immediately opens the door and just begins vomiting. I just hear the wet sounds. The door's right, like we just parked. And if you don't know this, I have a terrible, terrible fear of vomiting. I hate it. It's like there's a vomit phobia word. I don't know the word. I forgot it.
right as we could hear the water, or not like the water, but like the vomit sounds hitting the ground, Brian just plugs both of his, like I look over and both of his ears are plugged with his fingers, and he's like, no.
I climbed out of a minivan using just like, I didn't use my arms, I just used my legs. It's like 2 a.m. I'm just covering my ears, climbing out of this minivan, and he's just leaning up against a tree, just letting all that beer out. And it's an achievement, I think, to make it 45 minutes in an Uber, and then just to on command be like, okay, it's happening now. To hold it that long.
He was so ready, and he left the beer that he had bought from one of the breweries inside the Uber too. So
yeah,
doesn't got that anymore.
Oof. Definitely was entirely focused on holding in that vomit.
Oh
then.
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, the whole ride home just.
That's actually a good, because Jim wasn't sure if he planned it or not. So, I mean, maybe that speaks to how he planned it. Like, he was so focused on that.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, Jim was there. Jim will be on today's episode. No. But right after we got back, He rode his bike off to O'Hare Airport, and I believe he's going to Hungary now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does.
I don't have a joke to follow with
Yeah,
that,
like
so.
how nobody could climb aboard that.
All right, well, okay, so you're listening to the Pause Button Podcast. Every other week, your four favorite hosts, Pat, Joey, Devontae, and me, will discuss a pop culture topic usually related to movies, music, shows, or video games, and we'll do our darndest to entertain you along the way. You can expect surprising facts, funny jokes, deeply depressing monologues, and, of course, unrelated witty banter. So sit down, shut up, and open up your ears. It's time to hit pause.
Did us not following through on your joke make you blue?
Oh, don't do that.
What?
Don't do that.
What
Why-
did I?
Why would the color blue have any sort of? What do you mean? Why do you say don't do that?
Pat knows that
I-
I have a legitimate fear
I
of the
feel
color blue.
I feel like it was a grade A joke, just like this was a grade A movie, as in it starts with the letter A. Avatar. We're talking about Avatar today.
Oh,
So
that's a nice little
Well,
seamless
that's what I'm
connection.
talking
Yeah.
about.
so not Smurfs 2, the Smurfing.
The Smurf.
We're not. Did I watch that for nothing?
Smurfocalypse.
No one else Okay, fine. We'll talk about Avatar then. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Avatar today, not The Last Airbender. That film never existed, never happened. We're talking about James Cameron's Blue People Avatar movie, because for a good 10 years it was the #1 movie in the world, and up until we rewatched it together, did anybody remember anything about that movie?
Remembered some things, and most people, I think, like Pat and a lot of other people, remembered probably a lot of the more unsavory details about the movie.
I remembered that it reminded me a lot of the plot of Pocahontas, and I remembered that unobtainium was a thing.
Yeah.
Unobtainium. Yeah, that's the #1 thing that stuck in my head too. So, just if you've never heard of this movie, surprisingly, James Cameron directed it and released it as a birthday gift to Devontae on December 18th of 2009, and it was pretty. Pat's, you okay?
I'm doing all right.
Dr. Pepper go down the wrong throat or something?
Nope,
or?
that just randomly happened.
The wrong throat.
Oh wait, we have more than one throat.
You guys only have one? As you can tell,
Your throat where the poop comes out. Your butt throat. That's
Your
the...
butt throat. Oh man. Okay, so speaking of poop, this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, some shots fired. So I did some research. He was kind of inspired by a couple of things. You guys know, like the John Carter book series, turned into a movie.
Heard of it.
Yeah, it's this military man who gets out of place, like the guy in this one, except he gets like teleported to Mars or something. I don't know. He's also inspired by like Tarzan, the animated one, Phil Collins and all that.
Oh,
The
seriously?
Jungle, yeah.
Oh.
And then Miyazaki inspired him, especially Princess Mononoke, the whole like nature versus like the military and like that whole thing. And Ghost in the Shell, was that a manga or an anime first?
I believe that was an anime, but I'm gonna get ripped apart and told I was wrong.
It was both at one time, so
Yeah, they both. Yeah,
An anime fandom has never been known to be too rude to anybody online, so I
Well,
think you're okay.
You know.
He was inspired by like the whole like humans transferring consciousness from that, and then the Na'vi, the blue people, are based on a dream his mom had of 10-foot tall blue people, and he said it was kind of a cool image. I just like blue; it's a good color. Plus, there's a connection to Hindu deities too.
I
Oh.
guess also.
that's better.
Yeah, that works. That works. I've definitely seen blue a lot in artistic pieces about Hindu deities, but I kind of appreciate he didn't go with green or like any really stereotypical alien color.
Oh, can you imagine
it
the whole
helped.
movie? They were just like the Area 51, black-eyed, big head, long fingers, green aliens.
I thought you said black guy. I was like,
I
what?
thought he did say black
It's like
guy.
Devontae's
I
right
thought-
here.
I thought he said. I'm pretty sure he said black guy.
Black-eyed. Their eyes are the dark black color.
Tall black guy.
It's just
long
a bunch of
fingers.
NBA players walking around.
It's Space Jam
Yeah.
too.
Shaq plays all of them. They're all Shaq. Planet of Shaqs. I'd rather watch that. It'd be amazing.
I'd definitely have tree sex with Shaq.
What?
You wouldn't?
Oh, there was tree sex in this movie.
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
remember?
Remember we talked about the whole time.
We kept saying throughout the movie, when are they gonna have tree sex?
Dude, that was.
They have sex with everything.
Yeah.
I know Devontae's favorite part of the movie was at a time their weird hair tentacles fused with something
It's
else's
so-
That
tentacles.
sound.
They
is
make the
Yeah.
moist sound, you know, like if somebody's like lips are like really moist and they're talking in your ear and they just go, you know,
Like,
they type that.
I felt like it was
So-
almost like somebody like squeezing a wet sponge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana are the main characters of this movie. But I wanted to ask, who's everyone's favorite character? Mine personally was Letty from Fast and the Furious. I thought she was great as still being
As
Letty
still
from
playing
Fast and the
Letty.
Furious.
She's the most like out of everybody in this movie. She surprisingly rose above the rest in a field that's overpopulated with stereotypical character arcs as being the most stereotypical. It's like, oh, she's the gun who doesn't, does what she wants, and she's a rogue, and she sacrifices herself and dies. That's a huge surprise.
I totally forgot that like 90% of the main cast dies in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do that when you're setting up a franchise with 5 films over 2 decades.
That's not gonna happen though.
Probably not.
James Cameron will be dead and in the ground before Avatar 2 happens. I'll tell you that.
I was going to talk about this later on, but there are 4 sequels planned. So every third week of December in 2021, 2023, and then 2025 and 2027. People give Marvel shit because they're planning like 3-4 years in the future. 2027.
They're just throwing out numbers. It's like Pat said, it's not going to happen. They're just like, well, maybe we'll just get this far and like it'll be done.
2
Or,
and
like,
3
I
are
don't know.
filmed.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
They're not. Those are movies that are not filmed already.
they already filmed 2 and
no,
3.
Wait,
no,
no
that's
way.
bullshit.
That's a fact.
No way.
No, you're making that up.
I researched it from the internet.
Cite your
It's a thing.
sources.
It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
what's your source? What's your source?
It-
Just out of curiosity.
Google.
If you say
Oh wait,
Wikipedia.
did they film them together? Like, did
Yeah,
they film them
they
as
did
like, a one
Infinity
movie?
War Endgamed it. They put 2 and 3 together.
Oh, okay.
Why are they waiting so long to release it?
Wasn't it like a technology
probably
thing?
a ton of computer graphic stuff that's going to
Yeah.
take them another couple years, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So speaking of that, we can talk about how originally that this film was supposed to come out way before it did. So he set out to try to make like a popcorn flick that you would walk away from and also kind of think about your life and how you treat those different than you. So sneak that little message in there as you watch exploding trees and tree sex and lots of tree stuff. But development began in 1994 for this movie, before Titanic.
Like in what way?
Like he started to plan it all together and all that. He wanted at least six quote unquote actors who were 100% not real, but looked real. So I think he's just talking about he that's like a video game cutscene of a movie. He just wanted CG people.
This is like just him writing in a notebook in his room. Like
Yeah.
that's not.
But then the technology didn't work out, so he waited until 2006 to start putting the screenplay and the universe building together. And that actually caused him to push back Alita Battle Angel to this year, 2019.
Thank God we waited.
I'll tell you this, I think I preferred Alita.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, wow.
Definitely.
I never actually saw it.
It was fine. I didn't think it was a fantastic movie, but it had a lot of cool visuals, and it felt like it stayed true to a bit of its anime roots.
Huh.
Interesting.
You guys
I'll
wanna
have to
talk
watch
about
that sometime.
instead? We could just
No.
so any guesses for how much the budget of this movie was?
Oh God,
I have no.
I don't know
concept.
whether to lowball it or I'm gonna say it probably high, just to pay Sigourney Weaver.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was $237 million.
So you're saying it didn't make its money back?
Although I will say some people claim that's over 300 million and then plus 150 million just for marketing alone. But those are
It was doing
rumors.
fine though.
Yeah, no, the box office. So we can talk about the box office if I can find my notes on the box office. 72% of what it made was from outside the U.S. So this movie was number one for a while, but that's not our fault. All right, you can make a lot of claims about what the U.S. has done, but you know what we didn't do? Put Avatar at number one for a decade. That was the rest of the world. That was China and Europe and all that. It's their fault.
Brian is just trying to offend Joey as much as he could.
I-
Joey's like, this movie was fine.
Okay. I mean, I'll go on the record saying that I like it. I think it's.
We're posting this on
enjoyed
the
it.
internet. Like,
No,
people
I
can
know,
hear
I
you
know, I
say
know, I
this.
know. I like it. I don't have a problem with it necessarily. Like it seems like most people here don't like it. I don't have a problem with it, but I thought it was good. But I'm not like upset Pat saying that.
Well, apparently everybody else in the world thought that too, because after 19 days, it made $1 billion. And then 6 weeks after it was released, it made $2 billion. And then 47 days after it was released, it became the #1 movie for a decade at $2.789 billion. So,
So this movie came out in 2009.
2009.
So it's like it was competing with, if I remember correctly, Hangover and Sherlock Holmes and stuff. Although I don't know if they came out around the same time of the year. I know that those also came out. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Oh no.
At least it did better than It deserves to do better than Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
there's
I
more
can tell
to
you
it than
that.
All right, fair enough. It still holds some records. It's still the best-selling non-sequel, which is, I think,
It's going to take a lot to beat that record.
for a first film. Yeah, it's also the best-selling IMAX, 3D, and the highest 37th weekend gross in the U.S. So that's a really important.
Yeah, that's
factoid
really
to know. The
specific.
37th
That,
week.
37.
Well, and I think the fact that it was 3D is one of those things that really plays into why it did so well.
Well, I feel like something's wrong with me.
I feel like that too.
I'm really down all the time. I don't get enjoyment out of the things.
What's
that I used
happening?
To. No, but this movie, it was loved. Rotten Tomatoes said it might be more impressive on a technical level than as a piece of storytelling, but Avatar reaffirms James Cameron's singular gift for imaginative, absorbing filmmaking. Both Roger Ebert and A.O. Scott of At the Movies compared it to the feeling they got seeing Star Wars for the first time in 1977.
I wouldn't go that far, but then again, I also grew up with Star Wars. So, hey, maybe there are kids that saw this movie and it's going to stick with them. I would guess probably not, but because Star Wars had the benefit of having sequels within a few years, whereas Avatar has waited a full decade now, and a lot of those kids that watched it are now going to be full-grown adults, or at the very least in their late teens.
Well, and like, not to downplay Star Wars, because I like Star Wars a lot too, but isn't a big part of why it did well because of a lot of the different graphics and things that they were using at that time for the movie, or no? Like,
also because Darth Vader was dope.
But yeah, that's why I think that, when they compared it to Star Wars, it's because the visual, one thing I would say Avatar did really well was the visuals for the movie, and the CGI were pretty good for a 2009 movie.
And there's a lot of really creative ideas. I mean, obviously, we just mentioned how much you hated the tentacle stuff,
Yeah.
but honestly,
creative.
as a concept of how they interacted with Mother Nature and everything seemed to run on this tentacle connection, it worked well. Worked perfect for future Rule 34. So,
Oh man. So speaking of out there stuff, do you guys know this film was in 4D in South Korea?
like smells like
And
Like
it had
what?
moving seats, smells of explosives, sprinkling water, laser lights, and wind. What? What do you do?
He just looked like he was gonna he was holding in a burp so bad or something.
that's exactly what I was doing, Joey. I was trying to quietly burp away from the microphone. Thanks for calling attention.
Finally got him. Before we record, we have meetings where we talk about when we're gonna meet next, what our topics are gonna be. And Pat was just about the worst. I'm talking I felt like I was a teacher, and he was this seventh grader that was just derailing everything and throwing
I decided to make that decision ever since the time you yelled at me for looking at you while you talked to me.
I do not fight that. That happened. But there's a history there, a long untold story that I feel like we can do an episode on.
Well, and it was just so crazy. We were supposed to start recording I mean, probably by like 1 at least, because we were supposed to be here by 12:30, but we started recording probably closer to 3.
Yeah.
So like there was so much, like I was actually kind of nervous to record because I haven't done this for a week since the BioShock episode. And then there was so much build up to recording that I was like, well, I'm going to sound stupid. And I do, but like, you know, I'm used to it again.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike, but with your mouth. So,
So,
All right.
so in other
anyway.
words,
Back to
going back to
Avatar.
topic,
Yeah.
what was something everyone really liked about this movie? Because I really, like I said, I really liked the world they created there. I felt like there was real thought put into everything, like the culture of the Na'vi and their biology and their relationship to the creatures and the religion that they follow and who's in charge and how they earn respect and why Sully needed to be the one that the researchers chose to connect with the Na'vi instead of I can't remember the name of the other guy. It was the
his
the
friend?
thin dude.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, no, I got his name here.
Thin dude.
Norm
Joel-
Spellman.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Well, with a name like Spellman, this guy was never going to get along with the Na'vi. But I really liked that. What did everyone else feel like?
I would pretty much agree. I mean, that was like the world building was my favorite part. I loved seeing all the different creatures they came up with and like I mean, even just the little simple things like them walking around the forest and it's like luminescing while they're walking and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. I thought that was kind of cool because you try to like imagine yourself in a situation like that where I don't know, everything around you is just pretty amazing. And like the idea of the floating islands and stuff like that. I don't know if you'd call those islands, but like chunks of
They were based on the mountains
land.
in China.
yeah.
But they looked so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I like that.
Fun fact, in universe, those were actually created by magnetic poles pushing them into the sky. I just made that up. I don't know.
I was like,
I don't
That's
know.
world building.
It sounds like such
Cameron.
bullshit.
I would say my favorite part of the movie. I mean, I guess I couldn't really say it's part of the movie per se. But I like the color of like the colors in the movie. Like everything had a specific color for all the different creatures. It wasn't like stereotypical like forest. Like, you know, there's the green. It's not. They had like the green leaves and everything, but all the creatures in the so you know, first of all, Na'vi are blue, and then what were the name of the creatures that they?
The bird thing.
Yeah, the birds. How all of them had different colors. They weren't all like specifically just one like, you know, species, and they all looked the
the
same.
patterns were pretty cool.
Right, the patterns are cool, and I feel like that took a little bit more detail to think of, you know, the creativity to have everything, you know, look different, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. My favorite thing about the movie was when they have the tree knocked down. You know, like the big what is it, home tree? I think they called it.
Brian loves the displacing of indigenous people.
No, but like that happens, and like you feel for them, and like that's their home and everything. It's this beautiful, enormous tree, and it gets knocked down, and then like they're coming in for like the revenge attack, and they're going into like, you know, like the big climax of the movie, and you just feel all this tension, and then the Colonel dude, what was his name again? Colonel
Sanders.
Bad Guy.
Colonel Bad Guy, Miles
Daddy
Teller.
Dragon.
That's honestly all.
Yeah,
you said
there
on
it is, Daddy Dragon.
You're ruining the joke I was trying to set up. When it gets all tense, and then all of a sudden he's like, Papa Dragon is in position, and you're like, that got past the writing table? Papa Dragon?
It's not as bad as unobtainium.
Papa Dragon.
Oh my god.
I think my other favorite part of the movie was when Dr. Grace Augustine dies, aka Sigourney Weaver's character, and I farted and tried to see if anyone noticed, and everyone was side-eyeing me, and I was like, fuck. That was a great moment.
So, speaking of her dying, guess who's coming back in the second and third movies?
No.
How?
Not just her,
No.
but also Colonel Bad Guy.
No, they died.
Yeah.
What?
Weaver said she's playing a different character, so
No, you can't do that.
she had a twin too, so it's fine. I don't know.
Oh, she
But that
just
doesn't-
No,
happened
I'm
to
just
have
making
a
that up.
twin.
No, I don't know.
Okay, I was
But
like,
Colonel
what?
Bad Guy is the main villain for all 5.
How? Does he like fuse with the evil tree?
He's the main
That's-
antagonist.
I was actually gonna say like, what if something with the tree, because they tried doing that with her
He
too.
just died in his like mech guy, and like also
The Earth is gonna like some evil creature there is gonna eat him, and he's gonna like gain
Possess
sentience
it?
inside it.
Pat, I wouldn't call it the Earth. It's Pandora.
Yeah, come on. So hold on, we gotta talk about
music
these
streaming
sequels.
service?
So people who are being added on are Kate Winslet, Una Chaplin. I think she was in Rob Stark's girlfriend in Game of Thrones, right?
Correct.
And 7 child actors who are going to be playing like their children. Their children because it's set 12 years after the first one.
So has his corpse not decomposed or anything?
I don't know, but
I think he's gonna get eaten by a creature named the Unobtainious.
oh my god.
Wait, what? Why does it matter if his corpse gets decomposed?
Well,
Oh,
I
you're
feel
talking
like
about the bad
The
guy.
bad guy.
Oh,
the
oh.
bad guy. How is he still around 12
Yeah.
years later?
Hold on. I forgot one more actor that we have to discuss. Who's the one actor that you could bring into this franchise to really powerhouse it through the next decade to 2027?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
No.
Mm.
God,
Oh.
no. Come on.
He
Think
looks
seriously.
like a Navi.
Other than Shaq.
You paint him blue. That guy is definitely a short Navi.
You don't have to change any makeup. Just paint him blue.
Give him that ponytail thing. He's set to go.
I don't know. Just tell us,
Why is
Brian.
no
Vin
one coming to my
Diesel.
Oh, of course.
He's coming.
Oh.
Hey, he's
Of course
coming.
he is.
Letty.
Oh
She
my God.
died. Letty died. So now.
Yo, is
That
Letty
means
coming
nothing in
back?
this universe, Pat. That means
Wait.
nothing.
Important question: is Letty coming back?
No, probably not.
What? Come on, man.
That sucks.
But James Cameron said in interviews he was so excited to work with Michelle Rodriguez. Why'd he kill her?
Well, I forgot to mention that the guy who played Papa Dragon, Colonel Bad Guy, he auditioned for Aliens and was denied from it. He didn't get the role, but like he kept it in the back of his mind, and he's like, "That'd be fun to work with him again," and brought him on.
Listen, once Dom gets himself inside of one of those ships and steals some VHS tapes and just is he gonna be a good guy or a bad guy?
I don't know.
Is he a Navi? Are we gonna get Navi Vin
No.
Diesel?
Oh, please. What was the other thing? Oh, so I want to talk about the music of this film because I actually did enjoy the music. I felt like they did a good job with that and the sound design, even though the sound design might have been a little too much for you.
Yeah.
But so the composer was James Horner, who also worked on Aliens and Titanic, and he claimed that it was the hardest film to work on because he had to write a whole.
Listen, I'm gonna admit this film's terrible. This is really hard to get inspiration for.
Honestly, it sounded like they viewed this from a production standpoint as 2 different movies. They had 2 different production teams. One for like the Earth stuff that like like the ships and the buildings and everything, and then one completely separate department for the life and the alien stuff and nature and all that.
I guess that makes sense.
So he had to write one score complete for the Navi and then a completely different traditional score of just like violins and everything. So that's why there's like 2 different sounds, and then they wanted to like give the Navi like their own kind of music. So he had to write 2. Like, I could see how that could be too much.
Yeah, I actually think that's really cool.
I actually really enjoyed Zoe Saldana's performance in it.
Yeah, she was.
I
good.
thought she did a good job. I felt like she kind of did the best of the cast.
Yeah.
I feel like Sigourney Weaver did okay, but I didn't feel like she added anything to a sympathetic professor character.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like most of the other people were just kind of, they did nothing that really like blew me away. They were just kind of there.
Like, I like Sam Worthington, but I wouldn't go as far as saying like he's a great actor or anything
Right,
like
exactly.
that. You know?
His character was fine.
Yeah.
I just felt like sometimes with Zoe Saldana's character of, oh God.
Neytiri.
Neytiri, that's right.
Neytiri or Neytiri?
She
Neytiri.
Okay.
Neytiri, you're right. She actually emoted, and like I could feel her pain when she felt like she'd been betrayed, and I really enjoyed seeing like her slightly off, like obviously she's not human, so there were some ways in the way she moved and she spoke that felt otherly.
Yeah, I really I love her in general as an actress. I think she's great.
I mean, she is in the top 2 films of all time. So
True.
Yeah, she makes bank.
Yeah.
she's got to deal with a lot of makeup or CG or whatever. Like.
Side note: her husband looks like an Italian, like how should I put this? Like Dracula? I don't know.
Italian Dracula?
Yeah, he's like very. Who's the guy with the long blonde hair who's always in the romance novels?
Fabio?
He looks like an Italian,
my God.
He kind of looks like Fabio, but like a Dracula Fabio.
Yes, he does.
He's
Oh
like
my
so
God,
weirdly
I just
like
looked
pale.
at him. You're right.
Yeah.
I thought he was Jared Leto for a second.
Yeah, I can see that, a little Jared Leto-ish.
All we need to make. So here's the thing. I want to pitch a movie to you guys.
All right.
boy.
What if we make a movie? It doesn't even matter what it's about. but we paint Zoe Saldana red. Top 3.
We got
top 3
we
movies.
got
We'll
green.
guarantee at least third top.
Yeah.
Red's the next color, right?
How about a live action Veggie Tales? She plays Bob the Tomato.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes. Live action Veggie Tales. I'm all in. Who plays Larry?
Fuck.
Steve Harvey?
Yes. Yes.
He refuses to shave his mustache for the movie. Like,
They edited out like Superman and Justice League because of Henry Cavill.
No, you just tape a cucumber to his face, and then it's just like him getting into character.
A cucumber with a cucumber.
Dude, I'm in. That sounds. So, we talked about the positive reception. You guys want to hear some of the negative reviews I found?
Of course.
Okay, so we're gonna start with my favorite one. Annalie Newitz of IO9, which I've never heard of, said that this film was a fantasy about race, where some white guy ends up being the most awesome member of a foreign culture. And I'm like,
Fair.
she's not wrong.
Fair.
Like,
yeah, to be fair, I mean, there's a lot of like white savior movies out there.
he comes
Yeah.
in and
Like Tarzan, basically, like the new one they did that was live action at least.
yeah.
They made him basically like a white savior, and I was like, is this like okay? I don't know. It just felt awkward.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get you. Actually, no, this one might be my favorite. Miranda Devine of the Sydney Morning said, "It is impossible to watch Avatar without being banged over the head with the director's ideological hammer.
Fair.
All right. Yeah.
Nature is good. Industrialism is bad. Like, we get it, James Cameron. None of us are...
I mean, to be fair, those aren't exactly like. Obviously, those aren't incredibly creative concepts, but they're not necessarily bad to have.
Yeah,
either.
is that, like I agree with that, with conservation and things
Well,
like
is
that,
it-
and
is
not
it wrong to
displacing native
force-
peoples.
Yeah.
But
Is it wrong to force indigenous people off their lands? Yes. Is it wrong to burn down incredible features of nature for money? Also, yes.
yeah,
Unless there's a lot of money. Then,
Is
like,
war against people who can't properly
Jeez.
defend themselves bad? Also, probably yes.
So, James Cameron, environmentalist, right? He likes nature, obviously, by his film. That's cool. Because of his beliefs, only vegan food was served on the set of this movie. You could only eat vegan food
whoa.
Like the whole time.
the whole time. It was like a Morrissey concert.
So what if you went to like McDonald's?
Yeah,
Like,
could you bring
brought
some?
back McDonald's?
And
Did
maybe
just,
you
like,
could
throw it
sneak
away?
out, but like you couldn't like.
You couldn't bring it on set? Like
no,
you...
only so they feed them, right? Like
I can't like come out with an Italian beef like, yo, bro, this is mine.
I paid for this.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What was the other thing I wanted to say?
Right,
Oh, okay. So you were talking about like how the whole like industrialism is bad kind of thing. You were talking about kind of earlier about Pocahontas and all that. So people have like said like you kind of borrowed too much from this. So I don't know. Some of this you might have heard of. Some of you haven't. People have compared it to movies like Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, and of course Pocahontas and The Last Samurai. So my question is this like a story trope where it's just like, you know, there's the Romeo and Juliet where one of them is like native people and the other one is like these foreign invaders, and then they, you know, have their love story and it's forbidden. And is that a thing that just happens in like, you know, like stories about like the chosen kid from some poor family, like, you know, Hunger Games or Star Wars? Like, is this just another like story trope that just all of humanity just reconciles with, and you know?
I think it kind of is, but at the same time, it's also like fairly real. I mean, a lot of that kind of terrible stuff does happen to a lot of, you know, and then Pocahontas actually did marry whatever the guy's name was, John
that's
Smith, but
real?
that was like,
No, she didn't marry John Smith.
she didn't marry?
She married another dude.
Oh,
She
okay.
it's actually the plot of Pocahontas 2 as well. But
Oh.
in real life, she went over to Europe at one point, and she
Yeah.
married another man whose name is I on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But in the movie, John Smith apparently dies, so she goes to Europe to find him,
Oh.
and then meets this other guy, falls in love with him, and then chooses him over John Smith.
Well, and so I don't think like in real life that I don't know that there was really that much love on Pocahontas' part, or maybe just kind of like a forced. I think it was more
there's
of
also,
like a.
So historically, if I remember correctly, John Smith was the one going around like, yeah, no, this Native American. Well, he probably didn't say Native American princess totally saved my life and is in love with me. Totally.
Oh.
Also, she's like 14, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Either way, it's
And
not
then
how
she-
it happened in the movie.
And
is
then
what
she
I'm trying
died
to
of
say.
smallpox, so.
Yeah.
I asked
R.I.P.
that, but then I did some research, and it's also been compared to these novels that were written in the 1960s in Russia. You guys ready for this?
Sure.
Yes, sure, okay, hit us.
This is gonna be great. So they're called the New Universe, NOO, and it's written by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. All right, it's about a world called Pandora in the 22nd century
Uh-oh.
with the indigenous people
Oh.
called the Nave.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Was that before?
1960s.
Oh no.
James, no.
Hey, this was not a dream his mom had.
Right.
As soon as I read that,
Sure,
I was
that's
like,
a bug. I was
"Oh,
like,
I can't wait
yeah.
to talk about this." Like that is, like he named that. It's NAVE for the indigenous peoples in that book universe. He just adapted a book series and claimed it as his own. It's on Pandora. They're both in the 22nd century.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty hard to call it a coincidence.
Like, and this is supposed to be like his like magnum opus. This is what he like wants to like make his thing to be known for. And it's like, you already made Aliens. Like, chill out.
How many books were there?
That I did not research.
Were there 5 books?
Oh. Zoe Saldana's on the cover of one.
While
Time
you're looking that up,
travels.
I would like to say that while we did get kind of like a really like standard romance plot and anti-industrialization plot here, I am legitimately interested in seeing where the movies could go forward from this, especially if Big Bad Colonel guy is coming back from the dead as like an alien zombie now or something. I don't know. It's got to be. Oh,
I think
wait.
we're almost more interested in a way to like see. It's like when you go to a car race to see if there's going to be a crash. You know what I mean? Like we're waiting for this to fail.
I really hope he becomes RoboCop.
Oh,
For the sequel, he's RoboCop, and
Yeah.
it's the Navi versus RoboCop.
so I made a mistake. It's not the new universe. It's the noon universe, like 12 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Oh. Misleading us.
So it's not being copied.
There's 10. There's 10 novels, and the
Well.
last one was written in 1985.
Oh,
Huh.
so we're gonna have 10 Avatar movies. Looking forward to it, I guess. All right, so one thing I really disliked about this movie, not besides the gross tentacles that they have sex with everything.
Nice.
When Jake and Dr. Augustin and Norm become part of the village, why are they still in human clothes?
You know, it's comfortable.
I'm pretty sure at one point doesn't Jake finally put on like the tribal clothes?
Yeah, he does.
But Dr. Augustin and Norm are just like, nah, we're hanging out in our jeans and the t-shirts. So.
Specially made. Like,
What is going on? Like, you finally become a part of this village, and they're all about like, we want to be one with the Navi, but when they finally are part of the Navi, they still dress like humans. I don't get it.
And like, maybe it's just because I guess the Navi are supposed to be so much taller or something. But Sigourney Weaver's like wearing a crop top and like stuff that she wouldn't wear in real life. So like,
It was so weird. Maybe they wanted their character to stick out. I don't know. That was my one big gripe with the movie.
so if you had to guess between CG and real things, what percentage of this was fake and what percentage of it was real?
it's all fake, Brian. It's a movie. How many times do we have to tell you this? God.
I really want to go to Pandora. I just feel like I could fit in there. And...
Oh no. Oh.
Brian.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
About what?
Give me like a percentage.
Wait, what?
Like what's fake and what's real?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they used that like CGI stuff where they're in those costumes with the balls, right, to animate the movements, right? Probably, I'm assuming.
Yeah, mocap and all that. Yeah. I think it
So,
was mocap.
is that what you're trying to get at? Like,
No, like, I have the actual number here, and I'm just interested to see if you guys can guess, based on what you saw in the movie, what you think was real and what you think was fake. What do you think? It was like 50-50? Was it like 75-25?
I'm gonna go with I'll go 75-25, 75 fake, 25 real. Okay, Pat is dying right now because he hurt his back. This has happened multiple times, like when we've been in his basement. Is just like the way that I don't know. I guess his posture is when he's like leaning forward to do things, or I don't know. He's in terrible pain right now, and we're trying to cover it up.
I think it's the third or fourth time I'm going to ask, but are you okay?
No, you fuck! This is Mike. Oh.
All right, so what's the percentage, Brian?
Everybody's still really focused on that. I'm sure they're waiting on the edge of their seats. It's 60% fake and 40% real. So there you go. That's what you waited for. No, I got a fun story.
How is that 40% real?
They use miniatures. You know, like Star Wars, where they had like ping pong tables.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't look like it.
Yeah.
Miniatures for like which parts? For like the ships and stuff?
Yeah, probably like the ships and the mechs and all that fun stuff.
Oh, that's actually kind of an interesting fact, I guess.
Yeah. So it says I talked about Star Wars and all that, and like the directors and like I don't know. So he brought on some like famous directors and all that to take a look at the stuff he was using and all that. And Spielberg called it the most evocative and amazing science fiction movie since Star Wars.
How about that?
Is he wrong?
I could see. Here's the thing. Technologically wise,
Yes.
there was a lot of advancements here, just like there was with the original Star Wars, with how they were shooting things. But I don't know. I
Evocative
feel
and
like
amazing. That's the words
I feel like this is all stuff that was bound to happen eventually with the advances in CG technology that we have to this day.
it was a bubble about to burst on some movie, and Avatar happened to win. I mean,
Correct.
like, he's Steven Spielberg. I don't want to sit here and say I know more about movies than Steven Spielberg. I feel like you can objectively say he's probably like the greatest director of all time. And
That seems like, I mean, maybe,
Right.
but like
at least top
the guy,
three.
the guy is a great director. Clearly,
Yeah.
but I feel like anyone saying anyone's the greatest director of all time,
And maybe
that feels like a
subjective.
big claim. It's very subjective.
Yeah, okay. But objectively one of the greatest of all time. Like that. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. So you got
Also, so I just want to mention
Yeah.
that we, since Pat's dying, we're getting to like close to 45 minutes.
Oh, yes, we are. Okay, so I got a fun story, and then we got one last question for you guys. Are you going to be okay?
No, he's dying.
All right, so...
Just leave him in the corner.
Just
We're good.
power through.
All right,
Just power
all right.
through.
The fun story. There's an Indian actor named Govinda who claimed James Cameron wanted him, but he didn't want to do the body paint, and he was worried about how long it would take because Cameron told him it was going to take 7 years to film it. So like he was supposed to get the title role. But he's just some random like actor, like not well known, like I don't know, like the Jack Black of like India or something. So he's been
What a comparison.
I don't know.
Isn't Jack Black really like known?
No, but like he's not like the action star of the century. Like,
Can you imagine Jack Black playing the lead in this
yes,
movie?
that's exactly it. And so he got mocked relentlessly on Twitter about it. People were like photoshopping him blue and be like, "Oh man, can you imagine if this was actually you?" Like,
That's kind of mean.
like why did he?
I feel
say
bad
it?
for
'Cause
him.
He's lying. James Cameron, I think, said that it didn't happen. So like, why are you gonna sit here and say that? Like, you know, it's just a random thing to bring up.
Wait, which part is he making up?
The fact that James Cameron went to him, he didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just like,
that feels like a really weird claim to make when someone could easily just be like, "Yeah, nah, that didn't really happen."
yeah. It's like, why are you doing this? It makes no sense. But okay, so this is the number 2 highest movie in the world. We all know the number 1 movie in the world. Can you guess the other 3 for the top 5?
If the listeners don't know, the other highest grossing is Endgame, right?
If you don't know that, I don't want to.
I'm just saying.
Correct.
So what do you think?
One of them has to be Titanic.
Yeah.
Right?
Not adjusted for inflation. Not adjusted for
Okay,
inflation.
so Titanic is out.
No.
Titanic is one of them.
I believe it is. Let me pull up the list.
You did this and you didn't have the
Because
list
I want to
ready.
guess 2. I want to guess 2. I want to have some fun.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I thought you knew
Yeah.
already.
So
You
I
gave
do
that up
remember,
when you decided to be the host.
I do remember James Cameron created a graphic of like the Titanic sinking or something with when Endgame passed it. So I will say Titanic I think is number 3, but 4 and 5. What do you think? Is it like Force Awakens? Is it Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
I would
Jurassic
probably
Park, what do you
go
think?
with one of the Star Wars movies.
I'm gonna say Force Awakens is up there
Force Awakens.
because that was such a big deal when it came out.
Yeah, I'd say Force Awakens. Fast 7 maybe.
No, not Fast
No,
7.
Not Fast
no
7?
way, not top
I'm gonna
five.
say Infinity War.
Oh, good point.
I don't know.
You guys ready?
Could it ever be Lord of the Rings?
I don't think so.
No.
Lord of the Rings
I don't think it
made
was
a lot.
It was
But...
good, but not that popular.
All right, here we go. Number 1's Endgame. Number 2 is Avatar. Number 3 is Titanic. Number 4 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And Pat, you're a cheater. Number 5 is Avengers: Infinity War.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pat is awaiting his praise. And...
Oh, wait, hold up. Number 6 is Jurassic World. Number 7
Cool.
is the 2019 Lion King. That's the number 7 highest movie in the
Because
world.
I can kind of see why that would be that high, because it was hyped up for a very long time.
Yeah, and it has a crazy star-studded cast.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair.
Number 8 is Avengers. Number 9 is Furious 7. And then number 10 is Age of Ultron.
Wait, Furious 7 actually did make top
Age
10?
of Ultron?
So hold on. We'll go
So
one for
Michelle
one.
Rodriguez is making bank
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Well, also Furious 7 was the one with Paul Walker and everything. So I feel like
Oh.
that kind of added into that movie too.
Ultron?
Yeah, Ultron for number. Well, I mean, they were coming off the hype. 2014 had Guardians and Winter Soldier, and then they're like, "Here's the second Avengers, let's go." And then like it wasn't
I
bad,
guess.
but yeah. So those are the highest ones.
Nice.
Would you believe? Well, that's all going to change because Frozen 2 and Episode 9 for Star Wars are coming out, so none of that matters because Frozen 2 is going to fucking shoot right up there. I think.
I actually want to see Frozen 2. I think it looks better than the first one.
So is every human.
I also think that. Well, I enjoyed Frozen 1.
No,
but
yeah, I'm
I
not
saw it
shitting
in
on
theaters.
it.
But Frozen 2, I think, based on the trailers, granted, Disney's been knocking it out of the park with like every trailer these days.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, it looks great, but for all I know, it could be like 90 minutes of Olaf talking, and I could just pull my brains out.
And they had Brendan Urie do a song for that soundtrack. So like the kids are, that's the kids love Panic at the Disco. So it's Panic at the Disco,
Yeah.
TikTok, Frozen. It's all going to, dab.
I do want to point out that I believe 2 of the films in the top 10 are not Disney. Just Furious 7 and Jurassic World. The rest are all Disney.
I'm kind of surprised Disney hasn't gone after like Jurassic Park at all.
Well, because if
like,
they
as
go
a-
for Universal, then there's literally
Oh,
no
I guess-
competition.
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone is going to. I really don't see the government allowing them to do anything. No more buying anyone.
Yeah.
But I could see them creating new studios. Obviously, I don't think there's really much that can be done to stop that.
Mhm.
But they should not be allowed to purchase any more studios.
Yeah.
It was bad enough that Fox was allowed to be purchased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to see the X-Men coming in, but oh man, real world less stuff. It's like, oh, they got a lot. All right, any last words on Avatar?
My back's gonna fucking break in
Hold
half,
on,
Brian.
Pat. What was worse, your back pain right now, or sitting through the 2.5 hours of Avatar?
Still my back, Brian.
All right. So as far as housekeeping
What
goes
color?
for stuff,
What color do you think the Navi's poop is?
Huh?
If they're
That's
blue,
what we're gonna.
That's what
how
I
we're gonna
wanna
end
know.
this discussion.
That's
Probably
what
the
I-
same color as every other creature in the universe that we've seen. It's probably just based on
Birds-
breaking down.
Birds have white poop or
Well,
black.
yeah, birds are different. They're not mammals. The Navi are definitely mammals. They have hair.
don't get mad at me just because your back hurts, Pat. You're taking this
you
out
too.
on me.
Okay, so as far as stuff goes, we hope you enjoyed this episode. As far as stuff goes for us, a big surprise in December, we're gonna go weekly. We're gonna try to do an episode a week every Wednesday.
That screaming you hear in the distance isn't me about my back. It's Tom when he realizes all the work he's going to have to do editing.
So we're gonna see how it goes. We think things are going pretty well. We might have to cut somebody for budgetary reasons. So think of this as your performance review. And
I need insurance so I can go to the doctor for my back.
Like we offer insurance.
Oh,
Yeah, we have
man.
PPO, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
We don't got any of that. So we're going weekly. Tell your friends, tell your mom, especially. I don't know. I feel like
Tell your mom.
We the mom
Especially the
demographic. We go
mom.
for the mom demographic. I feel like that we fit.
They're big fans of us talking about shitting and farting.
Yeah, as you just talked about a mom who looked at the name of our podcast at work, and she brought up the fact that it was called Butthole Flicks.
If you're listening, I'm so sorry. I didn't name that episode. Joey did. Joey did.
It was
much,
funny and I stand by it. I don't regret
I'm
it.
much more appropriate.
But humor is always appropriate.
Yeah, this is the guy who started talking about his poop today.
And Navi poop.
And Navi poop, yes. But so we're gonna go weekly. We're gonna be talking about like the best stuff of the year. So we'll be wrapping up 2019 and the decade. But I think it's time to wrap up this podcast so Pat can go lay down. So I believe we're releasing this around Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. What'd you say?
I said I'm back.
He's back.
The pain went away.
He's back. We're gonna record for another 40 minutes. You guys ready?
Tom, can you please edit in Return of the Mac? Return of Pat's back, please.
Oh my god. So happy Thanksgiving. We hope you enjoyed. Wait for us in December. We're gonna be going every Wednesday, all weekly. Share it with everybody you know. And Tom, what's gonna be our topic for next time?
He's not here, Brian. Don't.
He's gonna edit it in.
Oh.
I ain't gonna edit shit.
Wow.
All right, Devontae.
So now we're gonna hit pause.